If you're looking for a fun, pint-sized crossover that's fun to drive, check out the 2026 Mazda CX-30. This vehicle has been a fan favorite because of what it offers as far as value, but its fun to drive sportiness is really good. There are a few negatives, and we'll talk about that as we give it a full walk around. And in the end, we'll give you our pros and cons. We'll talk about the price and the competitors. There are 8 trim levels, and the top trim level is the Turbo Premium Plus, which is our test vehicle. Mazda's always been known for its tag of zoom zoom, and it continues with the Turbo Premium lineup. This has the LED headlights, and behind this Mazda logo, which may seem large, it's where all the safety features hide, and all the safety is standard, and that includes a head-up display. There are 2 engine options. The standard 191 horsepower 4-cylinder engine, which is available on the lower trims. On the higher trims is a 250 horsepower turbocharged engine with a 6-speed automatic transmission across the entire lineup. Our test vehicle, which is the turbocharged engine, has a 0 to 60 time of 6.4 seconds and earns 25 miles to the gallon combined. The full lineup is all-wheel drive, and that means this vehicle is good in winter as well as summer. Our test vehicle rides on 18-inch alloy wheels that are black, and in this case, they're all-season tires because, as you can see, we're in Buffalo, New York, and we do test drive vehicles year-round. The slope-style design of the CX-30 means that it is very sporty looking. However, it does limit some of the rear legroom and some of the cargo space, but it's really fun to drive, and I keep saying that because when we go for the test drive next, you will see why. It's just an enjoyment to drive. Glass roof on top. It's not a full glass roof, it is a sunroof. Black caps, black trim all the way around. This is a very sporty looking car. The warranty on the Mazda CX-30 is a 3-year 36,000 mile warranty with a 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranty and no complimentary maintenance. Inside the Mazda CX-30 is a very modern interior. This is where you live in a car like this. Nice bolstered seats, beautiful soft gray or ivory leather material, which is on the upgraded trim levels. Otherwise, you're going to get some other form of material, a suede material, very nice. And that continues not just on the seats, but also across the dash, which I think is very modern, very clean, very warm feeling. Again, this is part of what makes Mazda stand out in the crowd. They do things a little different. Leather wrapped steering wheel, gauges are really nice and real gauges. There is an optional head-up display on the top trim levels. The center screen is 8.8 inches on the lower trim level and 10.3 inches on the top trim levels, and that's what we have on our Premium Plus test model. The standard audio system is 11 speakers, but the top trim level, which we have in our test car, is the Bose 12-speaker audio, which does include Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as Bluetooth. On the top trim levels, this is an 8-way power driver adjustable seat. The passenger seat, well, that's still manual. I wish they would just add lumbar on both sides. Make it comfortable so that both the driver and the passenger have the adjustability. Our test vehicle also has a remote start, which is great in these sub-zero temperatures here in Buffalo. In the second row, this modern, beautiful interior comes from the front to the back with the suede materials, outboard seat latch systems for child safety seats. There is no pocket behind the driver's seat. There is a pocket behind the passenger seat. And yeah, it's a little tight. I'm 5'8", and as far as knee room, you'd have to move this seat a little further forward on a long road trip. Headroom is perfectly fine, even though this is a coupe style design. Armrest has 2 cup holders built in, and the seats do fold down 60/40. As far as charging, there is no charging in the second row. There's charging only in the front row, and there are 2 vents behind the center console. Across the back, there is a wiper blade, which I wish was tucked up underneath, but maybe they'll do that in future designs. There's going to be a design change in the next couple of years, so we'll be looking for that. The Mazda logo here, CX-30 all-wheel drive, and this is the turbocharged engine. There are chrome tailpipes as well. Cargo space is 20 cubic feet with the seats up. Fold down those 60/40 split seats, and you're at 45 cubic feet of storage, which is quite a bit, but less than that of the competitors. One nice feature, the Mazda CX-30 has a spare tire, which many of the competitors do not. It also hides the subwoofer here in the center, so you have some really great audio. The 100-point turn, see how this does. It's really easy to drive this car and get this to turn around. That is impressive and good because it is a small, compact SUV. One One of the things I really like about the Mazda CX-30 is it has really good pickup because this is the turbocharged engine. And what gives the confidence to a potential buyer or an owner is the fact that it has a 5-star National Highway Traffic Safety Administration rating. Now what that means is you're getting top safety, and then there's IIHS. There are 2 different safety rated companies that rate all the cars, and of course you want a top safety rating because you're transporting yourself and people in the car typically, so that's one of those things that's important. Now we're in a really bumpy road. We are here in New York State. The roads are not so great, but this vehicle absorbs a lot of the road noise that's there, and that's one of the things I have to say that makes this car a great value, which you don't get with many of the competitors, and we will talk about the competitors in the end as well as the price and my pros and cons. I really like some things about this vehicle. The large screen in front of you with real gauges, very nice, and then of course the larger screen and the turbo trim levels really makes a big difference. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is included, Bluetooth of course, wireless charging on the top trim levels. But overall, the materials, I think, are what really make this vehicle shine. A lot of the competitors don't do that. They have hard materials or a mixture of vinyl materials. Here is a mixture of this really nice, it feels suede-ed. If you didn't know any better, you would think it's suede. Of course, they don't put suede on interiors, but it feels with a product called Alcantara. Very nicely done. All the climate controls directly below. Very modern, very clean. Mazda's always had very modern, fun interiors and fun to drive experience. I think it's one of the big things that makes people buy Mazdas and continue to return to the Mazda brand. As far as visibility, this is a coupe style, like I was saying on the outside, but has a huge piece of glass out the front, so visibility is great. I can see all the way down to the roadway. The sills are a bit high for me because, you know, we typically put our arm on the sill, so that would be kind of high. And out the back, even though it is a coupe design, there's a large piece of glass out the back, which is really helpful. There is no camera that this mirror converts into, so you got to use your mirrors, which is not a bad thing. It's good to use that old school setup because it actually works. As far as the vehicle in itself, I like the fact that everything is easy to use. It's very intuitive. You've got your shifters and all your controls. The one thing that bothers me and continues to bother me about the Mazda brand, and I understand this is part of their company philosophy, so either you love it or you hate it, is you can't touch the screen. Now what they did instead is made the screen not so close. So you would have to reach all the way up here to touch the screen. So instead, they put the screen farther away and forced you to use their multimedia interface, which is fine. I mean, it is all black and white, and on the higher trim levels you do get the navigation. But truthfully, I mean, it is very intuitive. And like any vehicle, the more you own it, the more you're comfortable with it, you know how it works for you, how many times you're going to set the radio, maybe a couple times a week. You've got all your entertainment, your AM, FM, satellite radio, which everyone pays extra for the subscription. All your information is here. Everything's easy to access. But I think the big thing about this vehicle is the top safety rating, the fun to drive, spirited drive about the turbocharged trim level. I think the lower trim levels are, in my opinion, are slightly underpowered, but if you're buying it for fuel economy, that is a reason to own one of these vehicles. Of course, the vehicle itself is something that people love. People that own Mazdas just love that old zoom feeling, and it continues to carry that zoom, positive, fun experience, which is why this is a great entry-level option. And if you're looking at all the competitors, which again, we'll talk about in just one second, it's important to take this for a test drive. I think the CX-30 is one of my favorite cars because of its fun to drive experience. Easy to use. Again, the only thing that bothers me, and we'll talk about my pros and cons in the end, is this center screen. I want to touch it just like my phone. And again, that's a personal thing. But as far as handling, performance, braking, really well balanced. Mazda has always put together a fun car, and they also have amazing paint colors, which a lot of the competitors don't. They have like, no, we got the usual black, silver, maybe a red. They've always had very brilliant, bright paint jobs, and they've always done a great job with their paint colors. That's one of the major positives when it comes to the Mazda brand. But overall, the driving experience is something you should definitely test drive before you make a final decision on which vehicle is right for you. One other plus, the premium interior materials are fantastic. Now, if you've got little kids, you may not want this light-colored interior. I love this light-colored interior. It's soft, it's modern, it's clean. I personally like it. I'm sort of a neat freak, If you're worried about that, there are other color choices, no worries there. We have driven all the competitors. You can check that out on our Car Smarts channel. And if you're looking for car news, ways to save money, what's really going on in the automotive industry, check out our Car Coach Reports YouTube channel, and also our radio show is syndicated coast to coast called The Drive with Lauren and Carl. And we also are on YouTube if you miss it on your local radio station, The Drive Car Show. All right, let's talk about my pros and cons, the price, and the long list of competitors. The 2026 Mazda CX-30 offers a lot of value, starting at only $27,470, and our top trim level is $39,395, which is our test vehicle. There are some pros and cons when it comes to the Mazda CX-30. It is fun to drive, and it is a nice little design and really nice tight turning radius, which means it's easy to get in and out of parking spots and easy to do a 3-point turn if needed. Standard safety is a major plus, as well as this beautiful interior. It's comfortable, and I love the materials and the mix of materials and the modern interior styling. I also prefer the performance turbocharged engine over the non-turbocharged engine, but again, that all comes down to dollars and cents. On the negative side, I wish the screen was a touch screen, or at least the option to do so, and that is something that Mazda probably won't change because that's part of their styling. Also, below average fuel economy compared to the competitors. The transmission does have a little bit of slow shifting at times. It depends how aggressively you drive the vehicle, and the cargo space is slightly less than that of the competitors. Speaking of competitors, the competitor list is long, starting with the Toyota Corolla Cross, which is one of the top sellers in the category, the Honda HR-V, the Chevy Trax, Buick Encore GX, the Kia Seltos, the Hyundai Kona, a big seller as well, Nissan Kicks, Volkswagen Taos, Mini Countryman, and the Subaru Crosstrek. I have driven all of them on our Car Smarts channel, so make sure to check them all out, drive them all, check with your insurance agent, and find out which meets your budget, not just in the cost of the car, but also those insurance rates will make a huge difference. If you have any additional questions about the Mazda CX-30, put them down in the comments below. There's more details in the description, as well as ways to support my channel. You can buy me a cup of coffee, which I really need in the sub-zero temperatures. Of course, my social media is there as well. I'm LaurenFix. Thanks so much for watching.